Today I'm going to be doing a common mod for these brick nose and bull nose trucks. I'm going to be putting headlight relays in. That way all of the current doesn't flow through the headlight switch. So I have these two relays that came from a parts car, a car that I parted out. These are from a BMW, but pretty much any newer import car, if you will, has these regular relay blocks in them. You just take them out of the fuse block. But I chose these two in particular because they have these heavier gauge wires for the 30 and 87 terminals. Let's see if I can make it focus on it. Like that. There we go. Yeah, so they have the heavier gauge wires for 30 and 87, which is where all the current flows. 85 and 86 are these two smaller gauge wires, and these will just be triggered by the original signal coming from the headlight switch effectively. And I have one for high, one for low. And what I'm going to do is, I've already measured this. This is the signal for the high beam. This pin in the middle is the signal for the low, and this pin on the right is the ground. And that's the same on both of these: high, low, ground. So what I'm going to do, I followed the harness. You can see it goes across the core support and then comes over to here and plugs into all of the glow plug harness right there. So I just followed it back. It comes across the inside of the core support here, and then you can see it's right down there where this plug comes out. And then if you follow it back, it goes under the battery tray, under the overflow, and it's right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel that tape off, and I'll just look for these three colors, because if you check for continuity between these pins, so let's say you choose your low beam pin here, or your, I think I pointed at the high beam, but you get the gist. Let's say you choose pin 1 and you ohm it out between here and here, it uses the same signal, and same for pin 2 and pin 3 as well. So what I'm going to do is basically tap into this harness before it gets to the first headlight, and what I'll do with my relay here, the original signal that turns on the low beam, if this is our low beam relay, will go to 85. 86 will just be grounded, and then 30 I'll go to the battery post here because it's the closest where the two relays are going to be, to just get a 12 volt source. And then 87 will be connected back to the original wire that went to both headlight plugs. Basically what we're doing is we're putting this relay in series with the existing wire so that we have a full 12 volts. There's no voltage drop and there's no high current going through the headlight switch. So I did the math. The bulbs on high are 65 watts. And so in order to figure out your amperage, you do, the formula is power equals voltage times current. So what you do is you take your power, 65 watts, and you divide that by your voltage, which is 12 volts, to come up with your current value. So by doing this, we're going to be effectively removing on high about 12 amps going through the headlight switch, and on low it's probably going to be 8 or 9. There's a decimal, so if you do 65 divided by 12, it's like 5.5333 or something like that, and I rounded up to 6. And same for the 45 divided by 12 for the low beam. So we'll effectively be removing in total nearly 20 amps from going through the headlight switch, which, I mean, it was designed that way. Ford did it like that for decades and it was fine, but this will, 1, make the headlights brighter, and 2, give a longer life to both the headlight switch and the dimmer switch, because it goes through both of those items. The full current is drawn through both of those items. I'm going to extend these, so what I'll do is for my 30, I'll put some red wire on here. The ground, will use the factory harness ground for the headlights, and then the grounds for the relays, which is going to be our terminal number 86. I will just solder some black wire onto here, and I'll run them both into one ring terminal, and I'll just ground them probably up here where this other ground is for the coolant temp sensor, or if I really wanted to, I could go to this ground terminal here. I just wanted to give a wire color update. So as you see here, the middle terminal is red and black, and the outer terminal green with a black stripe. It's hard for me to tell. I think it's green with a black stripe. So that's the colors I'm gonna look for in the harness over here whenever I split that electrical tape open right there. And then I'll just make sure it's the same color, snip it, ohm it out between there, that plug, and that spot, and then I'll add my relays in. Easy as that. I just wanted to show the finished product. So I just had to cut the wiring harness open right there. I cut the electrical tape off, and then I did as I explained. I basically put the relay in series in between the headlight switch coming from there and the headlights going that way. So I have my low and my high, and you can see I've got my 2 grounds here for the triggers, and I've got my 2 12-volt sources here for the relay power. And then you can see those 2 connectors down there are coming from the headlight switch, and then these 2 are going to the respective headlights, and this one is done like that because my colorblind eyes failed me and I cut the wrong wire by mistake. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, I'm not gonna wrap it up yet. I'm gonna leave it like this for a few days, make sure everything's all good, and then once I verify that it's all good, I'll tape it up. But you don't need to see that for the purpose of the video. It's to instruct you on how to do it. So now I'm gonna show you a before and after of the headlights pre-relay install and after the relay install. Here's the low beam before, and here's the high beam before. Low, high. Here's our after. This is the low beam, high beam, low beam, high. It looks the same, it's just the light is more vibrant, I guess. It's stronger, the beams are stronger, so that's really nice. And honestly, it makes the gauge cluster and the other lights look a lot brighter than they used to be, probably because there's less voltage drop now that the headlights have their own relays, like literally all new cars. But yeah, that's it. So here's to a job done.